Tony didn't want to say much at first. He paused, chose his words carefully, then admitted something did happen. A confrontation went down at a party in New York, and the details started spilling out from there.
You know, there was a rumor that y'all roughed him up the other night.
I don't want to disclose that.
Okay.
Something did pop off.
Roughed who up? Travis Scott at a party in New York.
The rumor making rounds was that Travis Scott got roughed up that night. This wasn't just some whispered story either. Tony confirmed things popped off, and once he started talking, the picture got a lot clearer. Before any of that, there were already signs Travis was moving in a way that was rubbing people the wrong way. Stories about clothes being thrown out of Michael Rubin's house were floating around, tension was building, and the vibe around him had been off for a while.
What's up, champ?
Yo, we gotta get that Filipino restaurant out here, man. Still go chicken. Thank you for the shit, man. You play with heart. Got some candy, big bro.
Then apparently, he said the wrong thing to the wrong person, playing the tough guy role when the room wasn't the right one for that. Don't let your mouth drag you somewhere your legs can't get you out of. Because according to Tony, it went from words to action fast that night.
What Travis Scott is on, but I already been wilding, like throwing clothes out of Michael Rubin's house and all kind of shit rumors going on. And he just told the wrong person, like, yo, you can't come through here. I'm drilling shit. Like, I guess he was on some gangster rapper shit and niggas wasn't having it.
And this wasn't some quiet, empty venue either. ESPN people were reportedly there. Knicks players were in the building. The place was packed. Somehow, despite all of that, the story barely spread afterward. But the word going around is that Travis got into a serious run-in with people connected to G-Unit, and that's where things get really interesting. Travis has had a reputation building for some time now. People inside the industry have called him difficult, somebody who wants everything done his way on his schedule. He's also been running in circles with names like Kanye, and when someone gets to that level of fame, their energy can shift fast. Some people start believing no one can check them, no one can question them, and every room has to move around their mood. That kind of confidence works fine until it doesn't, until the wrong personalities are in the same space at the same time. Tony laid the whole thing out on The Breakfast Club.
You know, sometimes rappers just get out of hand. They just think, yo, because I'm this person that I could talk to anybody the way I am.
He said people were drinking that night, and once alcohol is in the mix, some guys start feeling way braver than they actually are. He wasn't guessing at what anyone else had going on, and there's no reason to fill in those blanks without the facts. What he did say is that a lot of these stars move like nothing can touch them, partying hard, living fast, acting untouchable. But that energy has a way of running into a wall eventually. So Tony was asked flat out, "You like Travis Scott?" He said he was all right. That answer alone said everything. Then came the question everyone was waiting on, whether something really did go down with Travis at that New York party. All right, so here's the breakdown. Tony starts walking us through what happened, and it's already sounding wild before he even gets to the good part. He says Travis Scott was moving through the club like he owned the place, throwing his weight around, probably still riding that energy from the chaos at Michael Rubin's house, where clothes were literally flying. And then Travis apparently stepped to the wrong person, telling them they couldn't pass through, talking about drilling something like he was deep in the streets.
I mean, by that time it was over.
Oh, man.
Boop, bap, boop. That was it.
Was 50 on stage when this went down? Nope. He was actually on his way in, moving through with the crew. Tony says it wasn't some massive blow-up though, more like a small scuffle, nothing that escalated too far. But here's the thing. Rappers sometimes let their status go straight to their heads. They start thinking they can talk to anybody, any kind of way, just because of who they are. And in New York, nobody's gonna fan out for you. Half the people in that room would rather rob a rapper than bow down to one.
He was wilding too though. It was like a drunk night for a lot of people in there. I don't know what's going on. You know, a couple of bottles was being thrown and stuff like that.
So that whole untouchable energy doesn't land the same way it might somewhere else. Tony gives Travis his flowers, but makes it clear the city doesn't care about your chart position. Now, Tony admits he caught wind of this story early. He was already in New York when people started buzzing about it, but he didn't rush to be the first one talking. That's just how he moves. He doesn't create the news, he breaks it down once he's got the full picture. And from what was circulating behind the scenes, this thing was apparently more serious than Tony initially let on. Travis had security with him, but once things got heated, even they couldn't contain it. That's part of why people kept talking about it, because when someone that famous gets checked, it hits different. Liquid courage is a real thing. Some of these guys throw back a few drinks and suddenly feel like they're 10 feet tall and bulletproof. Travis Scott isn't just a rapper at this point. He's got massive records, major brand deals, fashion partnerships, endorsements, and a fan base that goes way beyond hip-hop. When you're operating at that level, it's easy to walk into any room feeling like you run it.
Picture you being on stage, right? And Jordan Clarkson come. I don't know who's behind me, and he got a big Jesus piece too, like a nice joint, and he like put it on my neck. So I turned around and I'm like, oh shit, it's the New York Knicks. But he was wilding, huh?
You kept it on.
Yeah, you would have kept it on
It's
the way home.
crazy. I could have kept it on because when the brawl started, I kind of still had his chain on, but I didn't want to be on the news for taking the New York Knicks chain. You know what I'm saying? So I just was.
But that energy runs into a wall fast when someone like 50 Cent or Tony is already posted up inside. Fame doesn't guarantee that people are going to step aside for you. And according to Tony, that's exactly where Travis went wrong. Somebody needed to tell him to cool out, and that night, somebody did. That's the unit, that's 50, and he's yelling at me. By that point, it was already done. Jordan Clarkson, that's the guy he's talking about. Shout out to him, but apparently he was going crazy that night too. It sounded like a wild night across the board, drinks flowing, bottles getting thrown, people losing their composure left and right. But here's what's interesting about how the media spun it. Behind the scenes, everyone on the inside knew it was 50's crew that set the tone. Travis rolled up like, "You can't come through here," and that caught people completely off guard.
Picture you being on stage, right? And Jordan Clarkson come. I don't know who's behind me, and he got a big Jesus piece too, like a nice joint, and he like put it on my neck. So I turned around and I'm like, oh shit, it's the New York Knicks. But he was wilding, huh?
You kept it on.
Yeah, you would have kept it on the way home.
It's crazy. I could have kept it on because when the brawl started, I kind of still had his chain on, but I didn't want to be on the news for taking the New York Knicks chain. You know what I'm saying? So I just was.
The fact that it happened at this kind of event was the real surprise, because you've got Dirk in there, Kevin Durant, all kinds of ESPN personalities. Nobody expected it to escalate like that in that specific setting. But just because people are older doesn't mean they're gonna fall back. What happened behind closed doors was known, but what made the headlines? Jordan Clarkson caught in the middle of traffic. He was wilding too, apparently. Someone even saw Karl Anthony Towns looking at Clarkson like he'd lost his mind, basically telling him he was going too hard for somebody who just wanted to party. And then there's this detail about a chain ending up around somebody's neck. Travis came in with a certain energy that night, but the room wasn't willing to adjust for him. That's exactly the kind of atmosphere where small friction turns into something way bigger. Drinks are flowing, everyone's hyped, and people start pushing past their limits. Celebrities who are used to controlling every room they step into can run things in a lot of spaces, but when other heavy hitters are in the building, that superstar energy doesn't automatically land the way it usually does. Tony had already pointed out that Travis and 50 actually had a relationship going back to golf events, so whatever got said that night clearly landed wrong with somebody. Now picture being on stage, and out of nowhere Jordan Clarkson walks up, and you don't even know who's standing behind you, and he's wearing this massive Jesus piece. So he put this chain on my neck, right? Just draped it over me. I turned around and realized it was the New York Knicks chain. But he was whining about it after. Wait, you actually kept it on? Yeah, I kept it on. And honestly, I could have walked out of there still wearing it, because when the brawl popped off, I still had the thing around my neck. But I wasn't trying to end up on the news for walking off with the Knicks chain. You know what I'm saying? So I just rocked it for the moment. He was out there playing golf that night, had the whole golf tournament thing going. Travis was there too, which just made everything more confusing to me. Shout out to Travis though. It was a rough night for him. A little scuffle, nothing too serious. You were good wearing that chain anyway because you were with 50. Oh my. Look, I know you work for Blee. I see you. You don't like me. That's just the industry for you. Jess likes me, I know that much. But 50 let me wear that chain, and I defended you out there. Said no on your behalf. Where did that whole rumor even start? Honestly, it doesn't bother me. I'm not really a jewelry person to begin with. I throw something on for shows here and there because it fits the energy. But as far as actual investments go, a lot of rappers have gotten hurt over chains. That's just the reality. Every now and then you put something on, do a show, cool. But outside of that, I'd rather put my money somewhere it actually makes sense. Keeping it 100, shout out to my man Mo. He had the Ferrari truck the other day, drove into the city, and called me saying some guys were following him. I asked what he did, and he said he jumped out on the highway and pulled his piece because he's licensed to carry. But I'm thinking, bro, you can't even enjoy a nice vehicle in the city with a little jewelry on without it turning into a whole situation. He told me straight up, he doesn't wear jewelry anymore. That's wild to me. Queen's media out here, and he's wearing the Cuban and the whole setup. We did the Travis Scott work on a reservation. Blood clot this, blood clot that. What is going on out here? Tony also brought up Jordan Clarkson during the conversation and said Karl Anthony Towns was watching the whole situation unfold, looking like things were getting way out of hand. The way Tony tells it, that club had a whole different energy that night, and Travis reportedly came out on the losing end of it. Sometimes confidence takes you into situations your pride can't back up. And when it comes to 50 Cent, the success never really reshaped who he is at his core. He can laugh, close deals, move quietly, but respect seems like a line he's never stopped drawing. So when somebody steps over that line in a loud, packed room full of people already running hot, Tony's telling makes it sound like things got ugly fast. Disrespect has a way of hitting a nerve no matter how many years go by, especially when pride, alcohol, and a crowded club all collide at once. Tony says that's exactly the combination that sent this whole thing sideways. And by the end of it, Travis reportedly got the rough end of the deal. What's worth noticing is how quietly this whole thing moved at first. It wasn't all over the internet. There were no endless headlines, and the story just kind of vanished. But now Tony's stepping up and saying what he claims actually went down, telling people that Unit checked Travis after his attitude outgrew the room. So here's a real question. Do some rappers get a little too bold once that liquid courage kicks in? Because stories about Travis allegedly getting into tense situations and moving like nobody can touch him have been floating around for a while. If Tony's version holds up, this wasn't some random blow-up. It sounds like superstar confidence tipped over into disrespect, and the people in that room weren't willing to let it go. Drop your take in the comments. Here's what gives this story another layer, though. Unit came up in an era where reputation wasn't just important, it was practically everything. 50 Cent built that entire movement on being fearless, speaking his mind, and never giving anyone the impression they could run him over. Tony was standing right there through all of it. That mindset doesn't just fade because everybody got older and stacked more money. That's exactly why a club situation involving that circle hits different from regular celebrity gossip. These aren't people who made their names by backing down. In the early Unit days, beef was almost part of the business model, and everyone knew 50 could spin one disrespectful moment into something the whole rap world would be talking about for months. What's different now is the context. These guys aren't hungry young rappers clawing for a spot anymore. They're entertainers, executives, and major public figures with brands, partnerships, TV deals, and carefully built images to protect. One messy night carries way more consequences today than it ever would have 2 decades ago. That's what makes Tony going on record about this so interesting. He's not venting about some throwaway online beef. He's offering a window into what can still happen when old school rap energy collides with a newer superstar who's gotten used to having the world bend around him. And there's an angle a lot of people miss when stories like this surface. The public sees the sold-out shows, the sneaker lines, the packed arenas, and the celebrity photo ops. What they don't see is those same artists moving through clubs, private parties, and industry events where everyone in the room carries real weight. In spaces like that, fame doesn't automatically put you at the top. You might have millions of followers outside, but inside that room, you're standing next to athletes, executives, veteran rappers, promoters, and people who've held power in this business for 2 decades. That's where ego gets checked fast. And Travis comes from a generation where artists turned into global brands almost overnight. The bigger the machine built around you, the easier it probably gets to hear yes every single day. Your team absorbs the problems. Security clears the path. Venues bend over backwards. Everyone already knows your name. But a room packed with other powerful people doesn't always operate that way. That's exactly why Tony telling this story carries some weight. It shows that underneath all the fame and the business deals, there are still moments where celebrity status doesn't run the room. Sometimes everyone in there has their own name, their own crew, and their own standard of respect. This also shows how quickly a story can stay buried when everyone involved has something to lose. Back in the earlier rap era, a confrontation like this probably would have exploded into diss records, interviews, and weeks of very public back and forth. Now, these artists have massive business operations around them, and sometimes the smartest play is keeping everything completely off the internet. Think about what's actually at stake here. Travis has his name attached to major tours, fashion deals, sneakers, festivals, and corporate partnerships. 50 has television, liquor, live events, and a whole portfolio of businesses running at once. Nobody on either side genuinely benefits from turning one heated night into a full-scale public war. That's probably why Tony bringing it up now lands the way it does. He's pulling the curtain back on something that reportedly went down far away from any cameras, while everyone else seemed ready to act like nothing ever happened. And honestly, that's how a lot of industry situations actually play out. What fans see online is only a fraction of it. People can shake hands at a red carpet event, take pictures together a few months later, and still have real history sitting right below the surface. In hip-hop, business can push people to move past the situation publicly, even when every single person in that room still knows exactly what went down. So did things finally catch up with Travis? Did he walk into a room full of people who weren't willing to let him move however he wanted? That's the real question here. Tony's account makes this feel different, especially coming after years of industry voices describing Travis as difficult when the cameras aren't rolling. But that's still one side of the story, and Travis may remember that night in a completely different way. When fame reaches a certain level, ego, pride, and alcohol can turn a tiny moment into something nobody forgets. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me what you think actually went down that night. On stage, the energy was already crackling. Someone in the crowd got told to get off the stage, plain and simple. No drama, no long conversation, just go now. One guy tried to lighten the mood by blaming the glasses for making him look nerdy, and honestly, that got a small laugh. But backstage was a different story. No security in sight, and whoever ran up on the performer made it clear they weren't having it. "You messed up my show," was basically the message, straight to the point. "Take yourself somewhere else. I said what I said." Then came the real question in the room. Are we squashing this, or are we handling it a different way? Because the energy wasn't cooling down. Everyone else got pushed out of the space while that got sorted. Later, in an interview, the topic came up directly. Someone asked if Travis Scott caught some hands at a party in New York. The person being asked paused and said they didn't want to get into it too deep. But then, after a second, they gave it up anyway. Walking through the club that night, Travis apparently said something to the wrong person. Word was already floating around about him throwing clothes out of Michael Rubin's house and other things. So when he came through acting like he had rank and said something along the lines of, "You can't come through here," that didn't land well at all. The person on the receiving end wasn't about to be talked to like that. 50 wasn't performing at the moment it happened. He was actually on his way in. But when he arrived, it had already gone down. By that point, it was being described as a light scuffle. Nothing major, a little kerfuffle more than anything. Here's the thing though. New York isn't the city where people are going to fan out over a rapper. Most people out there aren't impressed. Some would rather rob a rapper than bow down to one. So when you walk into that environment thinking your name means you can talk to people any kind of way, you're going to find out fast that it doesn't work like that. A shout out to Travis Scott at the end of it all, but the incident speaks for itself. Because there were photos of Travis and Cuban Link leaving the club together right after she'd broken up with 50. But he was like, "Nah, I don't know nothing about that. It had nothing to do with that." He was just out there on one, drunk, doing his thing. And nobody pulled him aside like, "Yo, Trav, chill, that's 50's camp, that's the unit. By the time anyone could say anything, it was already done. And then you had Jordan Clarkson in the mix too. Shout out to him. He was wilding as well. It was just one of those drunk nights where a lot of people were off. Couple of bottles flying around, you know how it goes. But here's the wild part about how the media spun it. Behind the scenes, everybody knew it was the unit that kicked things off. They never started anything. Travis was the one on some, yo, y'all can't come through here energy. And he's like, wait, what? Because he'd seen these guys at 50's golf tournaments, hung out with them before. So the last place he expected something to pop off was there. You got Dirk in the building, Kevin Durant in the building, ESPN people everywhere. Nobody thought it was going to go down like that. But just because they're older doesn't mean it wasn't going to happen. And behind the scenes, people knew exactly what it was. But the headline? Jordan Clarkson. Not the unit, not Travis, Jordan Clarkson. Shout out to him and the Knicks though, because he was really out there wilding. He even saw Karl Anthony Towns looking at him like he'd lost his mind. Now here's the part that's just funny. Jordan Clarkson came up behind him on stage and put his chain around his neck. This big Jesus piece, a real nice one. So he turns around and it's the New York Knicks point guard, drunk, treating him like he just signed to his rap label. He kept it on too. Of course he did. And the crazy thing is, when the brawl actually started, he still had the chain on his neck. But he wasn't about to end up on the news for walking away with a Knicks player's jewelry. So he gave it back and just kept it moving. Jordan Clarkson's got a golf tournament too, by the way. Yeah, he's got the golf thing going on as well. He was already in the middle of something, and Travis happened to be there, which just made the whole thing more confusing. He walked up like, yo, man, gave Travis his props, acknowledged it was a wild night, and kept it moving. A little scuffle, nothing serious. Then someone brought up the chain situation, pointing out he was allowed to rock it because he was rolling with 50 at the time. That caught people off guard. And yes, he knows exactly who certain people work for, and he knows not everyone in the room is a fan of his. But here's the thing about this industry. The people who actually like you, you know who they are. The ones who don't, you know that too. 50 gave him the green light to wear the chain, and when people started talking sideways, he was the one who stepped up and defended them. When it comes to jewelry though, he's keeping it completely honest. He doesn't really care about it. He'll throw something on for a show here and there, but as a day-to-day investment, no chance. Too many rappers have gotten hurt over a chain, and he'd rather put his money somewhere smarter. His boy Mo is a perfect example of what that lifestyle actually costs you. Mo pulls up in a Ferrari truck, drives into the city, and almost immediately notices he's being followed. So what does he do? He jumps out on the highway and pulls out his license piece right there on the road. That's the reality of having something nice in certain environments. You can't even enjoy a clean car and a little bit of jewelry without turning it into a whole situation. Mo said it himself after that night. No more jewelry, full stop. And honestly, that says everything. If you've been locked in with us this whole conversation, you already know this one was raw and unfiltered from start to finish. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one.